Because if you have a special business model and you offer something that people just haven't seen or can't get somewhere else, you can be wherever. You can be right in your community. I mean, like, look at What's the Deal.
Yeah.
Like, brilliant business model, cool, delicious food.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be downtown.
This episode is brought to you by our friends at Bamboo. Yes, I am sitting in the podcast room at the Bamboo Detroit location right now, which is where you have seen a ton of the Black Fridays podcast episodes. And the reason that is because Bamboo has been Black Friday's creative hub for the last couple of years. However, it's much more than our creative HQ. It's home to hundreds of entrepreneurs, creators, thinkers, and doers just like yourself. Now, whether you need a private suite that's customized to your liking so that you can effectively get work done, or if you need a space to be able to host a meeting or a conference call, Bamboo has flexible, creative spaces and a supportive community to match. Now, if you don't get anything from this message, I need you to do this right here. Go ahead, click the link to check out Bamboo's selection of private suites at any of their locations. That's right, any of their Bamboo co-work locations. And you can also find a link in the show notes as well to get those details. And it's time for you, that's right, you to join the Bamboo community. That's it. Time to get into the show. What up, though, Black Fridays family? Welcome back to another installment of the Black Fridays podcast. Before we get into today's episode, I need you to hit that like button, subscribe, drop a comment, and make sure that you share this video so that we can keep this thing going. All right, now that I got that out of the way, we are on location. We're doing a very special Black Business Month edition of the Black Fridays podcast from the Lip Bar location in downtown Detroit. Black woman-owned business, Melissa Butler, and who has been able to accomplish some amazing things in and around the city with the brand, and then also being able to take that worldwide. So shout out to them for being our host for today. And we have a very special guest. Who better to talk about small business in the city than the VP of Small Business Affairs, Mr. Sean Gray of the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for the introduction. Always great to be here at the Lip Bar. The Lip Bar was an early Motor City Match awardee for us, and also watching Melissa grow her business and her journey and her social media and other endeavors has just been amazing. And I'm really excited about what this business means for Detroit, but also for little girls like my daughters to have someone to look up to like Melissa. So really exciting to be here.
Absolutely, and thank you for being here as well. And first, I want to start with, for the folks who may not know what the DEGC is, Detroit Economic Growth Corporation. Could you break that down and explain to us what does that mean for the city of Detroit?
Sure. So the DEGC oversees a number of authorities for the city. So a city will typically have a downtown development authority or a brownfield development authority or a number of other authorities. And the DEGC is a good place to host those for the city, because what can happen, we know when a city does its business, is that sometimes you get a layer of other concerns, be they political or other economic realities that a city should have, that oftentimes the work of a development authority kind of takes a 20 or 30-year cycle of development to be achieved or to start to see the types of traction and development you want to see. And so having a group like the DEGC manage a number of these authorities helps to keep the work consistent and to give continuity to the work, so that development deals that oftentimes take 5 or 6 years to come together, or deals when you start talking about attraction. So we also do attraction. So we go out and I have a colleague who goes out and talks to businesses in Germany or England or Canada about why they need to build their next plant or build their next building or their next headquarters in Detroit. And that work isn't work that happens in kind of political cycles, which tend to be 2 or 4 years. So you need a place where people can work on those things over the course of several years to see things come to fruition. And especially when you think about where downtown Detroit was, 40 years ago or so, you saw a lot of people leaving Detroit. And so while, right now we do a lot of work to make sure that we are balancing our investments across the city. So we aren't just investing downtown. We do, I oversee Motor City Match and a number of other programs that make investments on corridors across the city. But a lot of the work that we've done to kind of hold our place downtown and keep downtown Detroit a place that would be viable for development, where you could do things like the draft, where we saw record attendance. And, I was out there watching people kind of ooh and ah over our city. To be able to do that, you had to have held at some point. You couldn't have losses and losses and losses on top of where we were in, say, 1978.
Yeah.
So we kind of slowly and strategically kind of climbed back and sustained what we could. And we've lost some things too, and we're very sensitive to that. But we're very hopeful that the work that we've done will help us rebuild.
For sure. And what are some of those programs and resources that come from the DEGC? Some of them, you mentioned one earlier in terms of the Motor City Match, but there's a plethora of opportunities for people to tap into.
Absolutely. And I'm very much in charge of most of that plethora. So it's like I'm very aware day to day of all the programs. And we try to make sure it's accessible and not confusing. But honestly, it is confusing for me sometimes. So we have Detroit Means Business, which has been a program whereby people were able to get business assistance. So if they needed marketing support, legal support, they were able to tap into that program. And it's also a program that really helps people get oriented digitally. One thing we learned from the pandemic was, you can have a great brick and mortar, but if people can't come in, like literally cannot come in, you've got to have a digital strategy. And so DMB helps us work through that. Motor City Match is phenomenal. We've opened, I think it's 193 brick and mortar businesses through that program over 10 years. And it's been great to be able to help people launch their visions on corridors across the city. The really fun thing that's come out of that, and I used to kind of be at these ribbon cuttings, I'm on Avenue of Fashion somewhere and I look across the street and I see a business that needs investment, been there 50 years. And the question would always come up, well, when is it their turn? So now we've got Detroit Legacy Business Fund, where we just opened a round of that. So businesses that have been around for over 30 years, or 30 years and up, can apply to that and get access to either $5, $15, or even possibly $50,000 to invest in their business. And the amazing thing for me about that, growing up in a family of small business owners in Detroit, is just, we know that business owners sometimes make sacrifices to keep their doors open, and they know, oh man, my infrastructure, my windows, my roof, there's a thing that I've been kind of letting sit for 20 years that I wish I could afford to fix. And so this gives them an opportunity to say, hey, you've got this grant, I can put $20,000 with this grant, get my roof fixed, or I can fix this thing in my parking lot that causes it to flood every, if it thinks about raining. And so it's really amazing to be able to help people keep their journey going. We got folks that have been in business for 107, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years. And it's important because for me, when we think about what these businesses are, it, gave us a sense of what, it informed what we listened to, it informed what we ate, and informed what we wore, some of these businesses. And so it's exciting to be able to help them go into their next journey. We also have BuyDetroit, which is a procurement initiative that helps Detroit-based businesses figure out how to do business with some of the larger purchasers in the city. So the city of Detroit being one, and a number of other partners from DTE to Henry Ford Health, and several other partners that we help people get connected to contracting opportunities with. We've also got the district business liaison team. So if you're in a corridor in this city running your business, and something happens at your business where you're like, I got to get on the city about this, but if I call, they're going to be on me. Some of those things where you feel like it might put a target on your back. You can actually talk to your business liaison, and they can tell you, hey, here's the department we're going to go to. I'm going to call this person, asking this question hypothetically, and then we're going to get some answers. We're going to work on an answer together, so you don't have to feel like you're out there alone. We've also got the Green Grocer Project. Now, this project started several years back when we didn't have as many grocery options in the city, and was a big part of helping to attract Whole Foods and Myers and others to come to the city. And now we've pivoted to focus on helping people open up small-scale, full-format grocery stores in neighborhoods. We have Neighborhood Grocery and a number of other grocery stores, and people who are opening up really cool bodega or slightly larger models where they can get people access to fresh produce right in their community. So we've got a lot of programs. We got the Legacy Business Program I already mentioned. We've also got Next Up 313, which is an opportunity for us to support and lift up entrepreneurs 18 to 30 so that they know what's out there, because the ecosystem of support for small businesses is huge, and we want to make sure they know about it.
Yeah, for sure. And in terms of your journey, you've been working in small business, I think we were talking earlier, pretty much your entire career. So what are some of the challenges that you see that our small businesses face specifically in the city of Detroit?
So the challenges, of course, and I think why it's so important to always lift up business owners of color, women business owners, is that it's really difficult starting a business is a difficult thing. And so I always try to make sure that, while we talk about the beauty of, a business model like this, or, when somebody's made it, we think about Carla Walker Miller. There's so many examples of people where we just get so caught up on the beauty of that journey and how far they've come that we forget sometimes that every single day of that was a grind. And you picked up where you left off the day before, and you built it one day to kind of maybe hopefully have what you built, that toehold the day before, help you get where you need to go the next day. And so for me, I'm honored that the city trusts us to run things like Legacy Business Program, RC Match, all these amazing programs that other cities, mind you, don't have.
Yeah.
But I really want to make sure that that the business owners themselves are leaving a legacy they can be proud of too, and building something that they can have and be proud of. Because one thing I always tell business owners is that, in my career, I've had, over $300 million of resources. I've been doing this 20 years. So from when I was at Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, when I was at the U.S. Small Business Administration, I've always worked in small business support. And out of all those millions of dollars that the government or federal government, state, local, whatever government sent me to deploy, they never sent me dignity to deploy. They never sent me autonomy to deploy. That comes from people being able to make decisions for themselves, not being bossed. I think it was important for my grandfather not to have a boss, to say what he wanted to do what he wanted to do, to raise his family the way he wanted to. And so for me, the number one thing that I see that comes out of what I do is autonomy for Black and brown people, autonomy for women, to be able to go where they want and say what they want and do what they want and live their lives how they want without people being able to be like, well, I don't like what you said, so you're fired. Mm-hmm. That autonomy leads to them having dignity. That dignity leads children to aspire to more, to be capable of more. And so for me, what I'm doing isn't just about helping someone open one storefront. It's about improving the quality of the soil so that the next business owner can do the thing that they want to do in Detroit and grow in Detroit. So where I lose a little sleep sometimes is that I think sometimes I see business owners getting the cart before the horse and a little bit of that flash before the grind.
Yeah.
And so, I think to some extent the pandemic, there were so many people online talking about running the play and doing certain things. I'm like, don't run the play. Just get into the grind. Don't let it wear you down, but get consistent, build a beautiful business model that delivers value to Detroiters, and Detroiters will turn around and take care of you for years. So you can run a business for decades where when you get that mix right of symbiosis, where you're providing valuable services in a community or in a corridor, and the people see you striving to do that, they don't see you struggling to do it, but they see you striving and trying to care about them and give back to your community, hiring returning citizens, hiring people with disabilities, hiring people with addiction challenges. They will take care of you. And it can be a lifelong journey. It doesn't have to be right now, and it doesn't have to pull up in a G-Wagon. It doesn't have to pull up with certain shoes on. It can be beautiful, and it can be a journey that you're on with the corridor, with the community. And that piece adds a lot of value and a lot of staying power. And so there's so many business owners who get that right, but I want to spread that mindset.
Absolutely. And I love everything that you said. So I definitely resonate with all of that. So definitely shout out to you for the work that you have been doing, and DEGC for offering these things. So before I get back into the serious questions, we got to have some fun on Black Fridays, which is my favorite part of Black Fridays, Freestyle Fridays. So So, Sean, I hope you came with some bars. I know, I know you suited and booted today, but we gonna need at least 16, 8, whatever you got. You could sing, you could give us a poem, whatever your creative expression is.
I can't do it.
All right. Well, lucky for you, I got some rapid fire questions prepared for you.
I was about to like steal all of the clips FICO. I was like, I can't do none of that. It's probably not the audio for that.
All right. So, speaking of music, what do you have in rotation right now? What's on your playlist?
So, my whole career has been funny to me how much how much Jeezy and Clips music has been played for me and other young professionals while we had our desk job. Right?
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
How many bricks am I gonna move?
Yeah,
work for Quicken. It's like, but so mostly that type of stuff, right? So I'm, Larry June, 2 Chainz. I just listened to 2 Chainz when I lived downtown, so I was biking here. I was listening to 2 Chainz. The clip's been phenomenal. I'm also an audiophile though, so I listen to a lot of singer-songwriter music, so a lot of Joni Mitchell,
Okay.
a lot of Stevie Wonder, a lot of Paul Simon. Paul Simon's probably right now where I'm at, just trying to vibe my way into the school year with my daughters. You know, it's so funny because you meet parents, they'll be like, "Oh, these days will fly by." I'm like, "Oh, I know."
Yeah.
Because my oldest is 10 and my youngest is 6. I'm like, if you think I know how they got where they up talking back and telling me what they gonna do, I'm like, look, I don't know how we got here. I didn't authorize it. But so listening to some of that singer-songwriter stuff, I think about Stevie Wonder all the time, and it's like, if you listen to some of the stuff he wrote when he was in his 20s, before he really lived life fully, it's like, that's, you know, where you think like, wow, there's got to be a God or some type of force that speaks to these people to give them the talent to do poetry and to see into things before they really should have known. Like, how did you know some of the stuff that Stevie talks about when he was in his 20s? How did you know to even talk about this?
Yeah.
And you get to 40s and you're like, wow. But yeah, so that's
your
most of my
conversation.
list too, yeah.
Got you. If you could start a small business today and there are no barriers, no issues, what is that business?
You know,
why?
I got to keep it Detroit.
Yeah.
Rent a spoon.
Rent them
Super
spoons.
free, but you got to rent them spoons. No, that's a code from Martin classic, right? Anybody know, Martin fans know.
Yeah.
You know, you know.
Yeah.
And they'll let me get in the Varnell Hill. We'll leave that alone. We'll leave that alone. You know, the business I would start, just if I'm really being honest, is a space where people could relax and connect to each other, listen to music, and probably not have alcohol per se, but maybe tea.
Okay.
So probably like a tea room with music.
Dope.
In Japan, they have a concept of a place called a kisa, where it generally just has a really impressive sound system, very small space, tea. Some have alcohol, but so like maybe like a tea room and a place where I could sit and spend time with, you know, young men like yourself who are doing things, keeping it positive. I think there's not enough spaces for young Black men to share positive engagement, to talk about positive aspects of manhood, marriage, fatherhood.
Yeah.
There's so many things that we have to be grateful for that we can share if we encourage each other. And so
Right.
I think a space where you could do that.
Dope. Very dope. And last but not least, what is your Coney Island order?
First off, I'm going to order it at Lafayette. I don't care who say anything about it. But, or Dooley's, depending on where I'm at.
Okay.
But I mean, you know, honestly, I need to change my Coney Island order up first off, because I shouldn't have one. Yeah, just, you know, one with everything. Chili cheese fries. If my oldest is there to share them with me, I shouldn't have a whole order of chili cheese fries with
Why not?
Coney.
Treat yourself.
Hey, you know, I did a little too much to treat myself. It's time to hold myself accountable, actually. I'm going to have to hold myself accountable things for life. But no, yeah, so I'll do like a Coney with everything and a chili cheese fry.
Dope.
That's my wife or somebody else listening and watching. Then, you know, the grilled chicken Greek salad.
Yeah. Or the grilled chicken pita.
Well, now see, but if I get too close to a shawarma, I'm like, why am I not a Bucharest?
Yeah. Hey, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, appreciate you for partaking in Freestyle Fridays. So thank you for engaging in the randomness. But I wanted to, in terms of the questions about the work that you do, I wanted to know, we talked about some of the challenges that small businesses see, but in terms of the resources that the DEGC offers, do you feel like they're utilized enough? And then how are you all measuring the impact of those resources and programs?
So we try to really watch our outcomes really closely. I mean, for me, it's really important that our programs like Motor City Match touch everywhere in the city. Now, I can't tell you where to be. If you say, I want to open, you know, we had a period of time where people were like, I want to open a restaurant.
Yeah.
I got to be in Eastern Market. It's like, you don't have to be in Eastern Market to open a restaurant.
Right.
You can get your food there and take it to 6 Mile and, you know, you can take it where you need to go. And so the thing that I've seen that honestly the market has done this for people because the rents crept up so much in Midtown, you know, all these other places where now people are like, oh, I got to be, you know what? I could either pay $3,000-$4,000 a month over here, or I could be over here where that'll cover me for half the year.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad to see people kind of really rethinking where they need to be, because if you have a special business model and you offer something that people just haven't seen or can't get somewhere else, you can be wherever. You can be right in your community. I mean, like, look at What's the Deal.
Yeah.
Like, brilliant business model, cool, you know, delicious food. You don't have to be downtown to do every business model. So I'm grateful to see people really getting the message that I can go 6 Mile and Gratiot, I can go parts of Southwest, I can go, there's so many places to be. And so for me, I think people are getting the message. The way I track personally is, are people opening businesses in corridors that are not the hot corridor? That's what I always want to see, is people opening businesses in unique places with unique product offerings. So we're seeing that, and we track that through our programming. We just had a 10-year celebration for Mercy Match, and we have a whole report on our website that shows some of the outcomes. And so we're really proud of that. But the other thing too is, when we think about some of these legacy business owners, we're helping people not just, it's not just about necessarily that roof or maybe getting you some new fixtures in your shop, but the interesting thing that is, it's been a conduit for people to get compliant. Because our city, we have a lot of barriers to help people open up a business, or for people to open up a business. There's a lot of regulations, a lot of things that, Big Brother, the government's gonna be looking over their shoulder, like, did you do this? Did you get this clearance or that clearance? And of course, we have our district business liaisons to help if you need help with it. But even those legacy business owners sometimes have deferred conversations and compliance situations. And so this has been an opportunity for us to open up a conversation where, and we've been fortunate to have the mayor's office and council president's office helping us with this, where they can go to Treasury and say, hey, help this person understand what they need to do to get compliant ASAP. And so that has been helpful. So one thing that we've learned is that, sometimes if we just give that extra push of giving that person, we've got the district business liaisons as a good conduit into departments to understand what you need to do to get right. But it's nice to have that carrot too of like, well, when I get this figured out, I've got $15,000 coming, so let's wrap it up. And so it's great to have ways to kind of incentivize people to do right, because as much as when you're a business owner, it sucks that you gotta comply with all of these regulations. When you're the neighbor to a business and they're not meeting some of these regulations, you have to look at like an old sign or something hanging on the building, and you don't like that. So it's really about trying to strike that balance of having people have the right relationship with their customers and neighbors. But we track a number of things. I do feel like people are utilizing our programs, but that's probably because I have like 10 programs. We're still trying to do more though. We have a number of projects that are gonna come out over the next 6 months to try to help business owners get access to capital. Specifically for Detroit-based businesses. So we'll have kind of one-stop shop for people to learn how to get into, working with a community development financial institution. It's like a bank, but with more friendly standards, or lower insurance rates, and sometimes better fees. But they're a little friendlier, and they also provide like technical assistance to you as a borrower. So we're trying to help people figure out how to get access to capital more efficiently. We want to make sure people have a sense of all the ecosystem, because there's so many places that are really set up to help small businesses. And also we want to help people be resilient to the types of challenges that we're seeing at the federal level too. So we are tracking, the number of businesses that are working with our programs. We are tracking the amount of dollars that they're and capital that they're amassing. One cool thing people don't think about Mercy Match, for example, is that we've granted $20 million, and those businesses have gone out and invested $105 million. So that's their own money. That's banks' money. That's all this money that went into storefronts and went into our communities. And we catalyzed that with $20 million. And it's so hard. I've worked my whole career to help Black-owned, women-owned, Detroit-based businesses get access to capital. It's hard to do. So if you could put $20 million out there and people went and raised or self-funded $105 million, I'd do it all over and over again. So people are accessing our programs. They can go to DEGC.org to see some of these programs and see where they fit in and what type of support we have that might make sense for them. But we're tracking a lot of stuff. We're actually trying to build better data models so that we know exactly where people are falling behind and what support they need, because we know a lot of businesses, for example, are behind on lease payments and a number of types of things that don't show up. So you walk down the corridor and you're like, well, job, mission accomplished. But there's so many people struggling. We also know sometimes when a corridor falls behind and then when we brush it up, we make it look better. We have to stop traffic or we have to interrupt their business. And that can be hard too. So we're trying to create ways to mitigate the challenges of having a beautified streetscape. So if you look at some communities right now are dealing with, hey, they shut my road down. I couldn't do business because there was only a narrow piece of sidewalk. We're trying to figure out new and inventive ways to help people survive those types of things so that, you're here for 30 years and they come through and beautify and you can't afford to be here anymore. We want to try to figure out ways to help businesses be resilient.
Yeah, that's dope. And real quick, because I know Motor City Match is a flagship program and a resource, and there are so many different marquee businesses in the city, such as the Lip Bar and the Kitchen with Q and Bull Bad Fair, which I had dinner at last night, that all went through Motor City Match. Could you just explain what Motor City Match is for people who may not have come into contact with what that program does?
Sure. So Motor City Match is a kind of a multi-pronged effort to help people through the ideation and startup phase of running a business. So we have effectively multiple tracks. So if you're in the early stages where you're trying to get your plan and idea together, we have a plan track you can apply for that can grant you, up to, a few $1,000s in support to help you develop your plan, or even hire someone who can help you work on legal aspects or other aspects of your plan. Then you can get into design track where you start to talk about designing your logo or your space or your business model. And they can grant you support dollars to help hire people who will support you in building out your design or brand or business model. And then we also have people who can help you find and afford space for your business. So we have a track that helps you kind of get locked in on where you're going to be. And then we have a cash track where you can apply for that track and get up to $100,000 towards the fixtures and finishings and paint that'll go into fleshing out your brick and mortar space.
Yeah.
So it's really a program that grants people dollars that's, not equity. We're not taking an equity position in your business.
Yeah.
But the idea is to help level the playing field, because what I saw being kind of a person who was in like Detroit 1.0 as a young professional was people would come to Detroit from, let's say, Grosse Pointe, and they would say, I want to put a shop here and I think I can do it. I'm going to sell all that stuff I think is cool or cute. Where am I going to get the money for this? And they would like, hey, mom and dad, can I get $100,000? Sure, no problem. But a lot of folks who grew up here couldn't just call mom and dad and get $100,000. My mom and dad or big mama probably had it, but she wasn't going to let you hold it without it. You're like, I don't know, baby. You got a little too much dip on your chest. Yeah, hold on. What can you do with $5,000?
Right.
So we wanted to have an opportunity for people who maybe didn't come from deeper pockets to be able to access that, because we know they had the ideas and we know they had the passion. And better yet, we know that people born and raised in corridors in neighborhoods know really well what people need or want for in corridors and communities. Yeah. So it's been great because it connects people to help ideating, help developing their ideas. One other challenge too, thing I love about Motor City Match is that we've brought online a lot of spaces that were derelict or disused. And the important part about that is people come up to me all the time like, oh, you were DEGC? I got a vacant such and such on my block that should be a flower shop. I'm like, okay, describe it to me. Now, well, it's daylight coming down in and trees coming up out. I'm like, hold on. It's gonna be a long time before that's gonna be a flower shop, because did you wanna be a florist or a developer? I wanna be a florist. It's like, okay, so it takes a developer to purchase, renovate, rehab that space. So the challenge is in Detroit for years, you had to basically become a developer. If you had a dream, you had to first become a developer. Yeah. Now, we've helped open so many spaces across the city that, even when one of our businesses fails, and I'm a realist about market realities, and the market will teach you what the market will bear. Yeah. And so sometimes it teaches you, we didn't want that, rent a spoon. We're not renting spoons. And so when I go out, when I have to close my rent a spoon down, it's somebody chomping at the bit to put a model in there that'll actually work. Yeah. Right? So to me, having all these spaces where people can dream and see themselves across the city is really important. And so we have a lot more spaces. And also we have cases where, we've had relatively few closures through Motor City Match. I mean, the realistic number that you would have, just small business is tough and there's attrition. Right. But in many instances, we've had awardees go into spaces that awardees were leaving. And so for me, again, it goes back to that enriching the soil and trying to make sure that each neighborhood in Detroit is a place where someone can put down roots and see them nourished, and not somewhere where they feel like they have to fight to get open when they have a vision or a dream. Yeah,
I love that. So I want to see if we can do a live case study here. So let's say, for example, on the audio for today, I got the homie JG, Jonathan Galloway of Audio Wave Network, holding us down on the audio. So let's say, for example, he has a podcast studio on the east side, but let's say he ready to take it state of the art. He would need all the bells and whistles, everything. What is the first step he needs to take in order to get that implemented? What's the first call you need to make, and then how do we get the ball rolling? And then we gonna continue with the scenario. But how does he even start that?
So let me add in a variable that he's coming into. Like, so I don't know if he's in a commercial space now.
Yeah.
Or not. But if he's in a commercial space, so that would be a business that's already in a commercial space, already started. But if he were, let's say if he were saying, well, I want to go into a bigger space.
Yeah.
And so if he's going into a bigger commercial space that is accessible to the public, then he could actually go to motorcitymatch.com and look at, I think we have a cycle opening up, or actually so we have one that just, it opens next month.
Okay.
Yep. So the rounds open next month. You go in, you apply. It's a pretty straightforward application. And then you would be considered. So if you know exactly what, like, he's already a business model he's already in. So for example, one of the awardees at our last award ceremony, the owner of Baobab Fair, is now opening a different concept in Eastern Market.
Okay.
So for some business owners, they kind of skip some of the planning phases and go straight into like the cash application. Yeah. So for a business where he's kind of like already in one location and maybe expanding to another location, he could probably go to the website and apply for the cash track and say, hey, here's the space I want to be in. I'm investing. So that's one thing. When we say Motor City Match, we're matching you in terms of your investment. And in some instances, we're matching you to a space. So if you don't have a space, you can actually go on our website and see some of the types of spaces that are available around town. So it's a match. We use match euphemistically in two ways. So we can match you to a space, and once you get awarded, we'll match your investment.
Gotcha.
So he could go to our website if he isn't sure where he wants it to be, find a space, list that as where he'd be matching into, and then we would be matching the investment in that space, and he would need to submit a budget. So we know what types of studio fixtures and investment he would need to build out that studio space. But yeah, it's a pretty straightforward process. We have a team that actually, they say, well, you've submitted your first step application, give us a little bit more. So they have a supplemental piece where they ask you some deeper questions to understand where you are. But for the most part, it's a pretty straightforward process. It can be somewhat competitive. And it's become more competitive now because we shifted from American Recovery Plan funds to city general funds. So there's a little bit less, so the pot's a little bit smaller, but we still are doing a very similar process, and it's somewhat competitive.
Very nice. So JG, you hear that? If you buy a room full of TVs, they will match you with another room full of TVs. So done deal. So we are doing this live. We have people in the store. So I just wanted to ask for the folks in the store, anyone have any questions for Sean while he's here? And you might not know this, but I do have prizes. So I have prizes for people who are participating today in asking questions. So would love to know if anyone had any questions for Sean.
Thank you for the question. What's my favorite part of my job?
Part of your job.
So the problem with working with and for me is that I'm not really working. I was like a shop kid. So I grew up in my granddad's plumbing shop, my mom's ceramic shop. And, I tell my daughter who's 10, my oldest is 10, and she's like, well, what am I going to do for a living? I'm like, whatever you want. Like, you literally are coming up with it now. You'll get there, you'll decide. And I never picked. I just knew I wanted to help my granddad. I knew I wanted to help business owners. And so I literally never chose. So my favorite part of my job is that I get to help small business owners.
Nice.
It's not even really work. It's just like, I can't believe I get to do this.
That's what's up. Any other questions? I'll take one more. And who asked the first question? Wait, I can't. Oh, okay. All right, I got a gift for you. I got you. Go ahead. I'm gonna just repeat it real quick for the audio. What is the fire and the passion, the motivation that keeps you going in the work that you do?
So for me, thank you for that perception of my work. I love to see people going through challenging things, not challenging or trying times or bad times, but I just was raised by people who had struggled a lot and who worked really hard. And so I was just raised that struggle and challenges always make you stronger. So for me, watching people go through the difficulties an entrepreneur goes through, like when I'm in your back office, my whole career has been this. So I've been in the back of a lot of coffee shops or restaurants that people I was behind some bulletproof glass a few weeks ago, drinking tea with somebody and eating some little apricots and stuff. That there is a loneliness and a challenging element to the journey of an entrepreneur that builds inner strength and resilience. And that's the part for me that keeps me going, is that I know that the bruises you get in a journey of entrepreneurship are going to be instructive for where you're going to go, and they're going to toughen you and make you stronger. And I think for me, when stuff gets hard for me in my personal life, I don't know anything other than to put on some more plates. Like in a weightlifting analogy, it's like I put on more weight because I'm going to get stronger and I'm going to survive it.
Yeah.
And so I think entrepreneurs have to be like that. And so most of the times people don't have to be like that. Most of the time people can like, let's take some of this weight off, it's too much. Entrepreneurs have to always step up for their families, for their communities. And so for me, I get to be there with people when they might want to quit. I don't know if you've ever seen C.T. Fletcher, like he's like a bodybuilder who's like had open heart surgery, blood vessels busting. He goes back to lifting. And one of the things he always says is, it's still your set. Mm-hmm. And for me, when I look at entrepreneurs, like, oh man, they closed me down for this. The burner went out on this. Order of food didn't come through. And I'm just sitting there like, and it's still your set. Mm-hmm. It's still on you to turn this around and figure this out. And so for me, those are very real situations and real conversations. I got somebody on my job that don't want to work, and they showing up lazy and drunk. And I'll be like, have you looked in the mirror lately? How you showing up? Mm. And so it's just been my whole career of holding people accountable, being an accountability partner. And I just love it. I'm like that with my kids and my wife, because I love when people are in those moments where you're either going to do right or lay it down. Mm-hmm. And laying it down, you learn, but doing it right, you get stronger, you get motivation, and you keep that optimism going that you can figure it out. It's just always an exciting journey to be on with people. Yeah,
that's a powerful word. So Sean, where can the people stay connected with you? Where can they connect with the DEGC? What are the websites, the emails, whatever information, contact information you have for us?
DEGC is at DEGC.org. We have a number of programs on there, oftentimes we're looking for partners or looking for people to do work with us. So we have requests for proposals where people can come and work with us as contractors. Sometimes we have positions open as well to do really fun and exciting work. DEGC.org. People can reach out to me at sgray at DEGC.org. We have a number of our programs, though, are available on our website. I usually try to stay in the background and just support folks, but people are welcome to reach out if they have questions or thoughts or suggestions for better programming or ways that we can better support Detroit entrepreneurs.
Very nice. Well, we appreciate you for being here for this live event and supporting all of our small businesses in the city. Very grateful for the work that you've been doing, and here to continue to support what it is that you're doing. Also leverage some of those programs that you got going on. So to be able to help with those metrics, but also being able to get in position as entrepreneurs, small business owners. So here to continue to help amplify that.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
For sure. Thank you.